Hey everyone, it's Infinite Beings here, and today we're on episode 2 of the Fungal Mind. And today we're gonna just start the podcast off with a few questions, just to kind of get the mood set. So, why are we not just a cloud of atoms? Why are there things? How did stuff occur? What is the basis for identifying an array of atoms from another array of atoms? And before I even give my answer to these questions, I'm going to say that, first off, it's not as simple as just pointing to physics or quantum physics, because they only explain mechanics, and they don't really explain the whole picture very well. But ultimately where I'm going with this is intelligence, and how intelligence forms everything. In life, everything's composed of various components that ultimately lead up to a body. And that body could be a rock, it could be a fork, it could be a knife, it could be a molecule in the air, it could be a boat on the sea. It could be so many different things. But the point is that every single body is arranged by intelligence. Now, is it possible that intelligence was always here? Sure. But it wouldn't really surprise me if at first everything was chaos. There was no order, no structure, no reality. There's no bodies, there was nothing. And whatever there was not really retained by anything, so it's not really relevant. If there was anything, it was not particularly experienced. But even to have anything requires a form of intelligence to create a body in the first place. When you look at anything, it ultimately breaks down to a cluster of atoms that is intelligently arranged for operational capacity. And everything has its own operation and its own function in the universe, but ultimately relies on intelligence to hold its form. And there is an infinite sliding scale of intelligence from completely unconscious to super intelligent and aware. And honestly, both extremes are incomprehensible to anyone, really. Even those that have experienced some of the most intelligent beings and have had the most connection with the universe, ultimately, there's always more room up, just as there's always more room down. And the reason why intelligence is the second episode is because intelligence is actually forming, operating, and communicating through all networks. Anything is just a simple network of intelligence. And smarter a thing is, the more capable it is to connect, operate, and communicate to all the various components and to the system itself. See, the more variables and details that an intelligence is able to properly retain from a moment, the higher the frequency state that intelligence is riding on. And in fact, even our own intelligence is often far more vast than most of us could ever realize. Well, not even necessarily true, that we haven't yet realized. Because the thing is, everything and anything we could ever do has already been done. We've already done it. And now we're just playing it out. And we're making all sorts of decisions. And we're creating who we are right now. And the thing is, you can decide to do all sorts of different things, but ultimately you're pulling from that pool of intelligence that you already are. This is why we know when we're not doing our best, or when we made a move that wasn't as smart as we know we could have. Because we can see all sorts of different timelines. And every time we think a thought, and we see something play out in our mind in a different way, and decide to go a different path, all we've done is simply decided not to live on that particular timeline and to move into a different timeline. And the thing about intelligence is every intelligence has free will, and free will ultimately requires the user to make decisions. That's all free will is a decision. You can decide to do whatever you really want. It doesn't particularly matter what situation you actually find yourself in. Ultimately, we have to find our own ways of communicating with ourselves to really start to see the full spectrum of who we are. And then from there, we can actually see where all the best decisions we've ever made and ever will make are. And it's not a secret, it's not hidden, it's literally in the visible spectrum. And we already are all of that we are. And we just have to pull in our best versions of ourselves and decide to make it happen. There's so much knowledge and information out there. And people nowadays are extremely intelligent, but the issue is they lack one of the most important aspects of intelligence. Data retention and statistics and knowledge are only going to be so useful if you don't apply them to your everyday life. And that's the thing about infinite intelligence, is it's so fractal. It's even within an intelligence system, there's very, very large amounts of unrealized intelligence, and I would say infinite potential within every single being and every single awareness in the entire universe has capability and room to grow, because there's unlimited space. We can always make more time. But right now, while you're utilizing your body, you have to ask yourself, does this body want to live the best life it possibly can, or does it want to settle for less? Because if you're settling for anything less than the best decisions that you know you're capable of making, then you're selling yourself out to the world. And you're not even really who you truly are. I think I'm going to leave it there. So much love and peace. Stay tuned for the third episode of The Fungal Mind.